Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Frick Programming. Today, we're going to go over some identifiers, variables, and assignments. Now, I do have one thing to say. If you do hear lightning, or you can't really hear lightning, but if you hear thunder in the background, just know that we are in a very severe thunderstorm where I am at. So, just fair warning. So, let's just get straight on into the identifiers, variables, and assignments. So, first off, our topic content for this is identifiers, what is allowed, what isn't allowed, variables, and assignment statements and expressions. Probably you could tell that from the beginning slide. So first, let's go over the identifiers. What is allowed as an identifier? Well, an identifier is a sequence of characters that consists of letters, digits, underscores, sorry, I mistyped, and dollar signs. An identifier must start with a letter, an underscore, or a dollar sign. See, this is how you're supposed to spell underscore. I got it incorrect. And also, identifiers can be of any length. What isn't allowed is that an identifier cannot be a reserved word. What is a reserved word, you ask? Well, a reserved word would be words like void, new, double, char, and many others. There are quite a lot of reserved words. You'll usually come up or see them quite often. If you're working in an IDE that colorizes everything, usually your identifiers are of the same color, so you can determine that. I'll show you once we go over to the code. And also, an identifier cannot be true, false, or null, meaning that the name of it cannot be true, false, or null. Let's go over what variables are. So, big question, what are variables? And we have a simple answer. They are identifiers. Well, let's head on over to assignment statements and expressions, since variables are really easy. So, what is an assignment statement? Well, it's known as initialization if it's the first time that you're doing it. It's also just saying resetting if you're setting the variable to a different value at a different time. So, what does it do? Well, it sets the variable to a value. Whatever value you want to give it, it'll set it to that. So, what's an assignment expression compared to an assignment statement? Well, an expression is a statement that needs an evaluation or to look at other methods, variables, or classes for the initial setting or the initialization. So with that, let's head on over to our code because it's code time. Well, we're here at the code, and for this, I actually didn't make another program. I just took one of the ones that we already had, one of the ones that we've done in previous videos. And I'm just going to use that as an example. So let's go over what our identifiers are. If you can see, since this is all color coded in my IDE, you can easily see what the identifiers are. The identifiers are the yellow ones. So input, num1, num2, num3, and AVG, also known as average, are all identifiers. And you can see that the reserved words in this case are all the orange or dark orange words. So import, public, class, static, void, new, and double. Those are all reserved words that your identifiers cannot be. So what's the difference between a variable and the assignment statement that we're doing? Well, I'm actually going to just look at our scanner input. So what we're doing here is the mixture of both declaring our variable and then immediately initializing our variable. This is the same as if I were to just do the declaration of scanner input and says input equals new scanner system.in. That is the exact same as the way I had it before. It's just much easier to read and takes up less code if you combine the two together. Now, the reason why I do it this way, or do it all in one line, is because you usually only want to use variables where their scope is necessary. We'll go over scope at a later time, but since input scope is within the main method, or let me give you a quick rundown of scope. Scope is where all the areas in which a variable declaration can reach. Currently, since input is created in main, it can only reach areas in which it's created in. So since it's created in the main, it will only ever exist within the main method. If it was created elsewhere, it could be made there and be usable there. If it was made inside of another block statement, it would only be able to be used in that block statement. But since the block statement that is being used in currently, or was created in, is in main method, it'll be used within the main method all throughout. So for this, I always like to initialize or declare and initialize the variable all on the same line rather than declaring and then initializing on two different lines. Now we'll go over the expression or the assignment expressions as well using the same line number 10 of scanner input. So as you can see, it has the code word or reserved word new. That means we're making a new instance. Well, what are we making a new instance of? Well, in this case, we're making a new instance of a scanner or the scanner class. And what are we doing with that? Well, with that, we're sending in what we're wanting to listen in on, what we want to scan as we're running this program. In this case, it's system.in. System.in are using all of our inputs. In this case, our inputs that we want to look at are the keyboard. So that's what we send in. That is a new instance. But to have input equal to a new instance, it has to be an expression. So when we get to line 10, this will actually jump to another line of code. One way to check this is if I were to debug it by putting a breakpoint here. So if I toggle breakpoint and then I debug it, I don't have debugging. Oh, wait, I do. I do have debugging. So what we're doing is we're on line 10. And if I step into it, where's the step into? If I step into it, it brings us to a whole nother class called the scanner class. This is what the expression is. It has to go somewhere else to run properly. It has to express. It has to come to a finalization of what it needs to be. And I'm just going to hit play to run through the rest of it. It's going to say please enter 3 numbers because it's going to run through the rest of the program. But that's basically what an assignment expression is. An expression could be mathematical, so you could do 9 times 3 and set that to a variable. And it will calculate that variable out to be 21, not 9 times 3. It'll just say it's 21. It'll solve it for you. And that's what an expression is. And that actually concludes everything that we're going to go over today. So thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much.